Have you ever been stuck in a situation that you knew how to solve but didn't have the tools needed? My name is Terrence Van Dorn, and this is Experimental Escape. This game is a first-person interactable escape room with different themes and settings for each experience. Scenarios can range from houses, dungeons, jungles, temples, and even spaceship sci-fi themes. Using given information and resources to progress through the escape room, the player will have the ability to pick up, equip, craft, and interact with different objects in each scenario. To make the game unique to other escape room games, the player will be able to craft tools using items found in each room to help them escape or solve a puzzle. There are also inventory and notebook slots the player can put items in and write down information and blueprints. The player is to reach an end objective in a certain amount of time. Scenarios have different goals, whether it be escaping or retrieving an item. The game will also have sub-goals for each room, like crafting tools or unlocking doors, solving puzzles, or disarming traps, leading up to a final goal of escaping or collection of the scenario. The rules of the game are quite simple. The player can use anything in a room to help them. The player will use items collected and discovered in each room to progress to the scenario's end. These items can all be used towards blueprints for crafting. Blueprints can consist of flashlights, crowbars, wired electronics, and lockpicks. The players can deconstruct or undo what they have crafted for more items. The players will have access to 3 hints if they are stuck in a situation. Each scenario will be timed at either 30 minutes to an hour depending on length and scenario. The time and hints cannot be extended or altered in the game. The anti-force will change depending on what scenario the player is doing. The main anti-force though is time. Each scenario will have a different story or theme that will include an anti-force. The jungle will have raiders that place booby traps, the dungeon monsters will have hidden messages, and the sci-fi aliens will place high-tech puzzles. The anti-force will be able to set up traps and more obstacles the player must solve to progress through each level. Decisions may change depending on what scenario the player is encountering. The biggest decision for the player will be crafting. Crafting items will come in handy for when the player needs a solution to a situation. Other decisions are when the player comes to traps and puzzles they must solve. These can all be reset, even the craftable items, if the player messes up or crafts the wrong thing. They need to think the fastest way they can to progress, because they gotta remember that they are timed, and quick decisions make it crucial. An example scenario would be the player entering the monster's dungeon, receiving a journal and instructions on the scenario with clues and riddles. The clues and riddles will hint that the player needs to craft a black light which reveals a color-coded message on the wall. This will help them unlock the first door. Getting in the next room, it's pitch black and they need to turn on the power. They get into the room and find a power supply. They craft a battery and some type of wiring to turn on the lights. The power then activates a bomb that the monster has placed. They need to use the color code from the previous room to help them defuse this bomb. They cut the wire that's color coded and they unlock the last door with the bomb getting defused. In the last door, there's symbols everywhere with a scale under it. The symbols show items from previous rooms, which then, being placed on the scale, give a number that unlocks the last door for them to escape. Things to compare to are Escape the Room, the board game with its puzzles, the room with its inventory and collection of items, Saw with its situational events, and Layers of Fear with its open rooms and interactable objects. What makes my game different is the crafting. The crafting will be done in journals, which allow the player to build different things, to have different solutions so the game is not linear. Risk for development may be the first-person aspect of the game and interaction room items. Through our studies, we have not had experience with first-person and the interaction with objects placed around an open space like a room. If it comes to be a problem with having a character model with interactions, we may have to mitigate to a floating camera with interactions. The blueprints may also be a problem, where the blueprints may have to be game objects mitigated to where they spawn in once a player has a certain amount of items in their inventory. There is plenty of room for improvements, new mechanics, and ideas. Thank you.